My name is Jeff Pearlman. I'm the author of 11 books. My newest book is Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur.
Now, I've been waiting for this book. I remember, I think it was like a post on some website that said, Jeff Pearlman is going to write a book on Tupac. And I'm just like...
That's weird.
Yeah. And it's like a sports writer. I'm just like, okay, well, a sports writer, I mean, how's that going to work? And first of all, I never heard of Jeff Pearlman.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what are we going to know that we haven't already? I'm sure there are a bunch of things. And then I reached out to my guy, Rob Marriott.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I sat down with Jeff Pearl. You know, he's about it. Like he's doing I think he's doing a good.
Oh, yeah, I interviewed Rob for the book.
Yeah. So shout out to Rob Marriott.
Yeah.
But yeah, what made you even get started on writing a book on Tupac?
I just want to tell you one thing funny. Walking over to the studio today, because you said I didn't know you until this, I was approached by two college kids. And this one guy goes, "Oh my God, I'm such a big fan of yours. Can I take a picture with you?" And the other guy goes, "I don't actually know who you are." I told my wife, she loved that. Yeah. So, you know, it only goes so far, right, or fame. Okay. I've written 10 books. They've all been about sports. I'm a big hip hop fan. I grew up in a very small, very white town about an hour north of New York City called Mahopac, New York. I'm like a cliche from a movie. My best friend, we had a class of 330. There were two black kids in the class. One of them, John Powell, was my best friend. Mm-hmm. He started introducing me to Public Enemy when I was about 17, 16. And I remember listening to Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos and just being like, oh, this is so good. And then you're listening to 911 is a Joke, and you're listening to Fight the Power and all these songs. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you're getting this education on like black empowerment, black resiliency that you just don't get in your history class when they take the one day to tell you about MLK. Mm-hmm. And that got me really, really hardcore into hip hop. And you fast forward, I've been fascinated by Tupac's music for years, his life for years, who he is for years. And I said to my agent, I was like, I think I want my next book to be about Tupac. And he's like, Tupac? And I'm like, yeah, I'm really fascinated by Tupac, and I don't feel like there's been a great book on Tupac. He goes, you're a white sports writer. How are you going to write the Tupac book? I was like, I do everything I've always done, which is report my ass off, try to call everybody, and just give it a go. And it was kind of a dream book. And now I did it. So I'm good. I can die in peace. Yeah.
So during the 90s, like as far as, let's say 90 to 98,
yeah.
Where were you, like how, again, I was a child.
Sure.
How was hip hop like, as far as for you at that point? Like, was it in and out? Were you paying attention about like how, okay, there was these murders that, like this is how serious music can be.
Yeah.
It's no other genre.
Sure. All right. So it's kind of weird. The 90s were a weird time in hip hop. You start the 90s, I ran cross country in high school, and our theme song for the season was Bust a Move by Young MC. Mm-hmm. I get to college, my roommate freshman year is listening to Kid and Play, rolling with Kid and Play. True Live Crew and Heavy D and the Boys. And it's hip hop to me at that point. University of Delaware, 97% white school. White kids starting to get into hip hop, House of Pain, stuff like that, right? Vanilla Ice comes along, Hammer comes along. And when I started my career at the Nashville Tennessean, that was my first journalism job in 1994, you start seeing the blossoming of Tupac as a big rapper, right, as a star, and also Biggie as a blooming star. And you start hearing about Suge Knight. The Chronic was a huge album for me, Dr. Dre, obviously. And by the time I'm a newspaper writer, East West is blowing up. Only I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and none of my colleagues, mostly white, mostly older, didn't really know much about it. So I actually ended up doing a bunch of stories about Tupac in the Nashville Tennessean, like one about his influence, another after he died, whether he's alive or dead. That was actually a real debate back then. So I started paying a lot more attention to it. Then in 96, I moved to New York City to write for Sports Illustrated. And even though I was a sports writer, New York City, I still maintain is the mecca of hip hop.
Right.
So all of a sudden you're immersed much more in it. So I went from being like when I was in college, my sophomore year, I covered Tribe Called Quest and Black Sheep came to the University of Delaware. And they asked me to cover it. I didn't know who Tribe Called Quest was. I didn't know who Black Sheep was. I'm at this concert. It's in a tiny field house in Delaware. It might have been Tribe Called Quest's first national tour. I don't know any of the songs. I'm one of like 3 white guys at this concert. It's like every black student at the University of Delaware. It's about 250 black students and me. I'm asking different people, what song is this? What song is this? I don't know anything. And that was an experience that actually also like turned me into like watching Tribe Called Quest, watching Q-Tip, watching Phife, seeing Black Sheep live. These things were just really informative for me as a hip hop fan. So here I am.
Right, right. So I know you covered a lot, like as far as from the beginning is his mother, Afina Shakur, and what she had to go through. And what about take me back because not too long ago, Asada Shakur passed away. And what can you tell me about her and her relationship with Tupac?
Well, Tupac never actually met Asada Shakur,
Okay.
but the Panther influence on Tupac was intense. 1971, Afeni Shakur is 21 years old. She's a member of the Black Panthers. There's basically a trial in New York City, and it's known as the Panther 21 trial because 21 members of the Black Panthers, the law enforcement had infiltrated the Black Panthers. They charged them with all these crimes, that they were going to blow up this building, blow up that building, and there's this trial. Afeni Shakur is 21 years old. She is a high school dropout with not a moment of legal study in her life. She's pregnant with her baby, Tupac. She's being brought from jail to the courthouse, back to jail, jail to the courthouse, back to court, while pregnant with Tupac. She turns down an attorney to represent herself in this trial, even though she's never had any legal training whatsoever. And she wins. Afeni Shakur wins. She beats the government in what is known as a Panther 21 trial. They should be teaching this stuff in high schools, and they don't. Nobody even knows who Afeni Shakur is outside of Shakur and, the Black Panther circles.
Right.
Tupac is born, and he's born into this sort of, number one, this embodiment of Black pride, Black self-empowerment, fighting the man, standing up to the man, standing up for yourself. He's also brought up in this world of instant paranoia, justified paranoia. Who's following me? Walk home a different way every day. We're going to cover the walls with peanut butter so there are no fingerprints on the wall. Afeni used to do that. So he's brought up in this world where, number one, you need to be proud of yourself. You need to represent. You are Black, you are strong, you are beautiful. And at the same time, he's brought up in this world where you can't trust anyone. Look, always sit with your back to the wall. Look around, be careful, everything. And I think the Black Panther roots and the paranoid roots really informed Tupac as to who he was. And I also want to say, his hero, Afeni Shakur, later becomes addicted to crack in a very serious way, not just a recreational, there are no recreational users of crack. She's a crack addict. So Tupac is experiencing something most of us don't, which is, here's my hero. She's the number one person in my universe, the person I tell everyone about all the time. Every school he went to, my mom was a Black Panther. My mom was a Black Panther. And now you're watching her become a zombie because of crack. So imagine like watching before you, your hero turning into the lowest form possible, a crack addict. That's what he experienced.
Right. Yeah, I hear you when you say that. I mean, I could kind of like somewhat relate to it because my mother wasn't addicted to crack, but I could see her, so early on she was smoking a lot of cigarettes, and what I used to do is go in her purse and throw them in the garbage and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and just hide them. And I remember going back when you mentioned like Afeni was a crack addict. Again, I don't know too much or not familiar too much with drug addicts, but I saw a video online where there was this kid and his mom, like you just described, like a zombie. And he was like crying to his mom and almost like slapped the mom. It was this child because she was addicted to the crack.
She kicked him out of the house multiple times. When they were in Marin City, he pleaded with her to stop using crack. And she said, get the fuck out of my house. And he wound up moving in Marin City. He went from New York City to Baltimore, was in Baltimore through his junior year of high school, then moves to Marin City with his mom and his sister, Set. He gets kicked out of the house. His mom is addicted to crack. She's literally buying crack from the very people funding his music. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, the same people who are putting money into the pockets of performers in Marin City are dealing crack to his mother. He gets kicked out of the house, and she gets worse and worse, and he watches this, and it just freaking sucks. It just sucks. It is so freaking painful. And again, he went down to New Orleans and met with Set, his sister. And interviewing her, I've said this before, is like interviewing shattered glass. Like the raw pain of what she went through, being abandoned, being raped, being abused by different people. And that is also, I consider her the embodiment of Tupac. So what she went through, he went through. And you realize when you hear Tupac rap in certain songs, from Dear Mama, which is as aspirational as it is real, to Pain, Shorty Wanna Be a Thug, where he's describing different things, like he's talking about the experience of being raised in the projects by a crack addicted mother who kicks him out of the house.
Right. I heard Fanny had these like learning like she would make Tupac like read like a whole newspaper
And quiz him.
and quiz him on it. Like, you, okay, don't move from this corner till to read this whole
Yep.
newspaper. And I'm gonna teach you on this. It's just,
She was, the thing is, I'm telling you, when she wasn't addiction is a disease.
Yeah.
Too many people don't treat it that way. It's factually a disease. Before she was addicted to crack, she was one of the, I'm being serious, one of the great women in America. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying, even when she was addicted to crack, she had greatness. She was just reduced because she was addicted. All she wanted was to raise these kids who were proud of who they were, who were willing to fight, who were willing to stand up. I always say, people have asked me, like, what would Tupac be doing now? I don't know for sure, but I live in near LA. There's no way Tupac would just stand by as ICE agents grab brown people and rip them off the streets. There's no way Tupac Shakur, the guy Afeni raised, would just be like, yeah, I got my money, that's okay. Like, that's the kind of shit that set him off. And it was all taught to him in large part by his mom.
yeah. I'll often ask people like who knew Tupac, who I have the pleasure to interview, like what would he be doing, or it's kind of sad that his life turned out how it did, because it ended so short in what he would be doing now.
I had an interview. There's a guy named Do It All Dupree Kelly from Lords of the Underground. And he told me a story that it's one of my favorite stories in the book. No one's asked me about it, so I'm telling you it first here. Tupac was in a group called Thug Life that he started.
Right.
And they were touring with Lords of the Underground. Lords of the Underground was a hip hop trio they all went to Shaw University in North Carolina together. They were guys from New Jersey. And they're touring together. And one day, Dupree Kelly and Tupac get in an argument. And it's heated. This is in Orlando, Florida. And Kelly goes back to his motel room. And a few minutes later, he hears a knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. And he looks through the peephole, and it's Tupac. And Kelly calls one of his guys from Lords of the Underground and says, yo, Pac is at the door. And the guy's like, what does he want? He's like, I don't know. I'm just letting you know in case something goes down. He opens the door. It's Tupac. And he's holding 240s. And he says, this is what Kelly told me. He goes, you ain't going to let me in? He's like, yeah, you can come in. They sit on the bed. He gives him a beer. And he's like, I don't agree with what you were saying today. That was bullshit. He goes, but I love that you stood up to me. And he's like, we all need to stand up for each other. And he goes on this long drive. He's like, you know what? More than that, we need to get involved more. You need to represent New Jersey. I need to represent Oakland. Cube needs to represent LA. Like, we need to represent, right? We need to represent. And then he goes, and more than that, we need to become the community leaders, and we need to get into government. We need to become legislators. And Dupree Kelly's like, he's like, I've never thought about this, but I'm like 23 years old. Legislators. He's like, yeah, we need to run for government. We need to be making the laws, not just having them applied to us. We need to make the laws. Dupree Kelly is now a New Jersey congressman. And he told me that conversation with Tupac is what set him on his way to thinking about politics.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I know this interviewing you would be a trip and be so insightful when a friend of mine, his name is Cameron,
Uh-huh.
he's a fan of your work. He told me about, you got to interview Jeff Pearlman. Like me and you, I don't think you were aware. We started like going back and forth on Instagram, like
No, I scrolled back. I know.
yeah,
I know.
like well, my other account got
Hacked.
yeah, it got taken down. It's a whole thing. So and he's like, yo, man, you're gonna love it. He's the guy. Like anybody who's like the embodiment of a journalist and does his thing. Like it's
I
Jeff.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I work hard. I don't know. They're better journalists, but I try hard. No, really, there are, but I try my best. Yeah.
No, but yeah. See, okay, so like we were talking about off camera, where I feel like it gets confusing. The Tupac's dad, like his biological dad.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Tupac had to, know, okay, Billy Garland is my father, no?
That's a great question. Okay. You're doing a good job. These are questions I've not been asked before. So, for real. Okay. Now, Afeni always said he didn't know who his dad was. However, Yasmin Fula, who helped raise Tupac, this is Yaki from the Outlaws' mom, and she was a Black Panther also, went to prison for a while. Very, very close and very instrumental in raising Tupac. Told me emphatically, she told Tupac who his father was when he was about 6 or 7 and said, your dad lives in New Jersey. Whenever you want to meet him, you can meet him. Also, one time, Afeni was at an event and Billy Garland was there, and she was there with Tupac. And Tupac was too young to know, but she goes, here's your son if you want to meet him. So, okay, there's no relation between the two. Billy Garland, interestingly, was a basketball star in New Jersey. He was one of the best high school basketball players in the state of New Jersey his senior year of high school. Billy Garland doesn't know Tupac. Tupac gets shot at Quad Studios. Billy Garland goes to the hospital. Now, Jasmine Guy, the actress, wrote an amazing, amazing book that I highly recommend about Afeni Shakur. It was a great, I'm not kidding, it was one of my favorite. There are a lot of good Tupac-related books. I'm not saying I'm the only one. She wrote a great book. And in it, she referred to Billy Garland as the sperm donor. That was her, the sperm donor. Yeah. And, you know, he shows up at the hospital, and just being blunt, it's fucking bullshit. Like, it's like, oh, I didn't know where he was, or blah, blah. Like, you didn't know where he was. He's the biggest hip-hop artist in America. He's not that hard to find. You know what I mean? It's like saying, oh, I don't know where Jets quarterback Justin Fields is today. Well, the schedule's right there. You can look and find Justin Fields. It's not that hard. It wasn't hard to know where Tupac was if you really wanted to see him. He shows up. Tupac is like, he almost feels like he's hallucinating. Now he's heavily drugged, and he basically sees this glow of a man who looks just like him. When I interviewed Seth, she told me that Billy Garland reached out and said he was going to visit Tupac on Father's Day while he was in Clinton Correctional Facility in prison. And Tupac was actually excited for it. And according to Seth, he said to her, I'm kind of nervous. Do you mind being here tomorrow when my dad comes? And Seth said, sure. It's Father's Day. And she goes to the prison. And Tupac is actually excited and nervous that his dad is coming to visit. And according to Seth, he never shows. Now, Billy Garland may say that's not true, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying from his sister. And I know later on he did make a visit, but she told me Tupac was just gutted by that, like absolutely gutted. Like it took a lot for him. A lot of his songs, or several of his songs, talk about having a dad who's a no-show, having a dad who didn't show up, a dad who's not there. So here's this moment where he's actually going to allow him in, and he doesn't show up.
I'm guessing he wasn't open to speaking to you about the book?
No. And I tried hard. I reached out to him. I have his number. I texted him multiple times. He lives in New Jersey. I drove to where he lived, buzzed, couldn't get in, left a note, never got him. I can't arm wrestle people to you know, you try your best. That's all you can do.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how certain platforms pay and then.
Well, you know, I'll say something for you. I'm being serious about this. When I started this book, I was told by people who have platforms that pay artists, pay people, no one's going to talk to you. No one's going to talk to you. Well, why aren't they going to talk to me? Because everyone wants money these days and everyone's paying. We're paying. I didn't pay anyone. I didn't pay one person. I interviewed 652 people. I did not offer $1. Now, I would take someone out for breakfast who are meeting for breakfast. I'm going to pay because you're doing me the honor of meeting. I'll pay for the breakfast. You know, I'll pay for your scrambled eggs and coffee, but I'm not paying you. And I feel like your business, this business, because I'm coming from sports into hip hop, the idea that everyone needs to get paid for information, right? Like I look at you and you're a hip hop diehard. Yeah. You love hip hop. You live for hip hop. You want to spread the word of hip hop, right? It is your honor to do that. And that people won't sit down with you, people who don't need the money in many cases, unless they get $1,000, $5,000. I understand if you need the money, but there comes a point where like journalism is about people covering hip hop, love hip hop. People covering sports love sports. Mm-hmm. And that there's not a back and forth in your industry, it hurts me as a journalist. I think it sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. It sucks.
No, yeah, I understand. Yeah. Trust me. But yeah, I can't wait to dive into the book. But there's some things that I feel like need to be clear. I don't know how to think about. Okay, there's a weird time as far as like 93, 94, and Tupac is in New York City, back and forth to California. Yeah. And he's shooting above the rim. Supposedly he runs into and meeting some guy named Haitian Jack. Yeah. As well as some guy named Jimmy Henchman.
Yeah. Jim Roseman. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you tell me the beginning of how that whole thing?
Well, all right. Quad Studios is fascinating. Yeah. Fascinating. And I will say, one of the guys I interviewed and he told me he'd never been interviewed before, is the first EMT to get to the scene who treated Tupac on the scene.
Interesting.
And never done an interview before. So basically, Tupac is in New York because he's on trial for the sexual battery of Ayanna Jackson. He's on trial. And there's a rapper named Little Sean who's recording at Quad Studios.
Yeah.
And Lil Sean did some stuff with Biggie back in the day. I would not say Lil Sean is one of the great rappers in American history, but he's fine. And this is Tupac had no money. He had no money. Court costs, taking care of family, just not good with his money. You know, he was an excessive spender. He didn't really know. And he was never raised with a bank account. He was never raised learning how to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like a lot of people, I can't say most, but a lot of people in this country, your parents teach you, all right, we're going to open a bank account. Here's $5. What do you do with it? He never had any of that. He didn't have a male role model around. His mom was a crack addict. He was not good with money. He's now on trial and he's in New York City and he's offered $7,000. That's it, to record a feature for Lil Sean. $7,000. Like, I just think about how little that is. It's Tupac. Even then, it's Tupac Shakur for $7,000. That's how badly he needed money. During the trial, he's getting these pages nonstop. This is pre-cell phone. He's getting page from James Roseman, one after another, after another, after another. At one point, he takes his pager and he throws it to Yasmin. And he's like, can you tell this guy I'm a little busy right now? He's literally sitting in court with his future in the balance. Finally, he agrees to do it. And he's driving down. He recorded with another guy first. And he's driving down to Quad Studios. And they stop. He's with a bunch of guys. They stop. They get some weed. And they drive to Quad Studios. And according to Tupac, he said he failed to trust his own gut because he gets out of the car. He said there were two black guys dressed in fatigues. Yeah, you know this. And you probably know better than I do. Dressed in fatigues. And neither of them greet him warmly or hostilely. They don't greet him at all.
You don't look at him at all.
Don't look at him. And he always said, you know, he said, I've never had it. He said, I've never gone somewhere and a black man fails to greet me one way or another. It might be negatively, but at least they greet me. He goes, this was weird. Anyway, you know, he walks in, there's the jacking. Now, Tupac has a Glock with him. And he has the Glock in his waistband, okay? And he always said, you know, there were always rumors he shot himself. All these things. He got to prison. People were making fun. You shot yourself. You shot yourself. There are always these rumors, and I didn't know for sure. And I interviewed his manager, Watani, who's an awesome, awesome guy. Great, great guy. And also a self-defense specialist. And he told me the Glock that Tupac had was an easy gun to discharge accidentally if you're not careful. And Tupac, this is a fact, this isn't me, but was not very careful with firearms. He just wasn't. He was kind of who he was. You know, his friend Kendrick Wells told me he used to hold them wrong. Shock G talked about him shooting up an apartment, he was erratic.
Yeah.
Picture his personality, you know what his personality was. He was like, hey, you know. All right. He gets shot. It was reported 5. It's actually 3 times he was shot. He was shot once in the hand. The interesting one is he was shot in the head, and it basically, the bullet lodged between the skin and the skull. So it didn't pierce the skull. So the EMT, he gets shot, he takes the elevator up. The EMT takes the elevator up. Mm-hmm. He gets off the elevator, and there's Tupac sitting there. Now, he doesn't know who Tupac Shakur is. He's not a hip-hop fan at all. No idea. Hey, my name's so-and-so. He goes, hey, I'm Tupac Shakur. He goes, I got shot in my balls. Right? As he said, I got shot in my balls. And he looks him over, and he sees the bullet in his head. And he told me, the EMT told me, he's like, his name was Ron Johnson. He said, it was really unusual. It wasn't suspicious. It was unusual because he easily could have died. Like if the bullet is here instead of here, but it's here. And literally picture like a splinter going into your skin. That's basically, it was like a big splinter. Mm-hmm. So it was in the skin, but it never went into the skull. The hand. He looks, he goes, I think it shot me in the balls. You want to see? He goes, you want to see? The EMT doing, you want to see? And the guy's like, not really, but it is my job, right?
But is it the actual balls or the...
I'm going to tell you. Pulls down his pants, pulls down his shorts. He did shoot himself in a ball, and then it went in the leg, right?
Wait, the actual scrotum?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
EMT said to me, and he's like, I've never talked to anyone about this. He's like, but I've thought about it for years because it wound up being a guy who was famous, you know? He didn't know who he was then, but he certainly knew afterwards. All right. He said the crazy thing was he had to have shot himself in the balls because there was no entrance wound. On his jeans. There was no entrance sign in the jeans or underwear. So he had to have the waistband. He said to me, he goes, it's a fact. He had to have because there was no entrance area. And you can tell whether a bullet is entering or exiting. So basically, under his shorts, through his testicle, into the leg.
Right.
And that's how he shot himself. So they come down I'll tell you another crazy thing about this is all right, they take the elevator down.
But they take him kind of like crazy. It's not like.
Well, they
like,
couldn't fit him in.
Yeah, exactly.
They couldn't fit him in because originally you would be horizontal, but they had to go vertical. So he's like dripping blood onto the floor of the elevator because he's like this. And, he had wounds and they addressed them, but there was some blood that dripped off of him onto the floor. So picture him like Frankenstein against a wall, basically, and he's like, They have him up in a vertical position. Strapped, but vertical. Yeah. They get down. It wasn't a big elevator. They roll him out of the elevator. He does the middle fingers because Biggie is standing there. Puffy was standing there, whatever. He does the fingers. I interviewed another EMT who was the EMT who was in the ambulance. I tracked that guy down too. And he told me the thing that was funny is Tupac then gave the EMTs the middle finger. And the guy actually told me, he said to Tupac, he goes, "What?" He goes, "Why are you giving us a middle finger? We're just trying to help you, man." And Tupac goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got caught up in the moment. I'm really sorry." And he said on the ride to the hospital, he said Tupac was very collegial and cordial and actually a very nice guy. He remembered this, like he was talking, wasn't like out of it. He was talking, and they get to the hospital, and the head surgeon comes down, and Tupac says to a nurse, he goes, "Are you going to be able to save my ball? I got to keep my ball." And the head surgeon is like, "That's not funny." And Tupac goes, "I'm the one who might be losing the ball. I can make jokes if I want." And everyone cracked up in the hospital. So he still had his sense of humor about it. And that night in the hospital, or it might have been the next day, Biggie tries visiting Tupac.
Right.
And he couldn't, and it wasn't Tupac. Some people say it was Tupac turning him away. It wasn't. It was just, he wasn't getting visitors at that point.
Of Islam, I think? Or
I had the bodyguards there. Yeah. Well, they hired Watani. I think it was Watani hired. Tupac used to have Nation of Islam bodyguards in the hospital you're talking about.
Yeah. But does Tupac know that Biggie tried to visit?
He might have known afterwards. I don't know that. But he didn't know at the moment. It wasn't Tupac turning Biggie away at the hospital.
Right.
Now, Tupac is later in Clinton Correctional Facility. Right. Biggie reaches out to Watani, his manager, and says, "Yo, I want to visit Tupac in prison." And Watani says to Tupac, "Biggie really wants to come. I think you should let him come." And Tupac says, "Fuck that guy. There's no way I'm letting him come. Fuck that guy." And I interviewed a lot of guys he was in prison with at Clinton. And to a man, they were like, that guy hated Biggie. He blamed Biggie. He 100% blamed Biggie. He talked about it incessantly, almost annoyingly so. Like he was fixated on Biggie. And I just think there's no reason to think Biggie had anything to do with it. Just be honest. I don't see it.
Right. Well, okay, so can you do you have any details of how the relationship started between Haitian Jack, Jimmy Roseman? Do you know like when exactly or where it was?
Well, all right, here's what I can tell you. Haitian Jack was Tupac's model when he played Birdie in Above the Rim.
Right.
And there was a woman, Carol Crooks. I'm going way back here for a minute. Carol Crooks, what Tupac's original name, it was Paris Lassane Crooks, and then Lassane Paris Crooks, and then Tupac. So basically, he was named one, then they flipped it, then they went. Crooks was a Fenny's friend / being honest, girlfriend, Carol Crooks. And Carol Crooks was like the ultimate badass motherfucker. She was in the house of detention, the women's house of detention in New York City with a Fenny. And she was just a gangster drug dealer thug. Okay.
And she was Tupac's girlfriend, you said?
No, a Fenny's. His mother's.
Oh, right.
A Fenny's girlfriend / friend. Yeah. And when Tupac was born, the two people there with a Fenny in the hospital, her sister Glow and Carol Crooks. And when Tupac was born, the doctor came over with baby Tupac, and a Fenny points to Carol and gave it to Carol Crooks to hold. So Carol Crooks, this gangster, badass, if you look her up, just like a badass, was the first one holding Tupac, and she's crying holding this baby. So she was very close with the Fenny. And she was of the streets, like she was a gangster. There were very few.
Still around today?
No, she's dead. But I interviewed her daughter. She adopted a daughter later on who I interviewed for the book. And she's kind of a hero in the Tupac universe. Like when a Fenny got out of the hospital after she gave birth, Carol Crooks took care of her. Carol Crooks lived with her. Carol Crooks cooked for her, bought stuff for her, bought stuff for the baby, looked after her. Anyway, Tupac is modeling himself after Haitian Jack for Birdie in Above the Rim. And Carol Crooks, again, who was just a notorious, there weren't that many women at this point who were notorious kind of gangsters in New York City, but she was one of them. And she wrote him a letter. She hadn't talked to him in a long time, brought it to the set of Above the Rim and left it for Tupac. And it basically said, I hear that you've been modeling yourself after this guy and that you admire this guy. do not model yourself after this guy. This guy's a bad human being and a bad person. Avoid him. And Haitian Jack, he starts, Tupac starts rolling with him during his time in New York City. And they watched the Tyson Holyfield, I don't remember, Tyson Riddick Bowe fight at Scores, the old strip club. He's ordering champagne. He's the one. Tupac was really a guy. I interviewed Pete Nice from Third Base. And he's like, when we used to tour with them, Digital Underground, Tupac was like, I'm never wearing gold. Gold is, I'm never wearing gold. I'm going black, leather, Afrocentric, the red, green, and yellow, medallions. Haitian Jack is a guy who's like, nah, man, you gotta look the part.
Yeah.
You gotta wear the Rolex. You gotta wear the Armani. You gotta, that has a heavy influence on him. But Tupac later just truly believed deep down that he was a government snitch.
Right.
And that I think at the end, if you ask Tupac who was really responsible for him getting shot, I think he probably would have said Haitian Jack was the number one guy.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I honestly don't know. Like, you write a book, you do your best. You can't learn everything.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't Biggie. It's ridiculous. Doesn't even make sense. The whole Biggie thing makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard, is the story true? Like, did Haitian Jack buy Tupac's first Rolex?
That I don't know.
I'm guessing Haitian Jack didn't speak to you about the book.
No, Haitian Jack did not. Neither James or Jimmy Roseman. Haitian Jack's really hard to find these days. Although I'm sure someone will pay him on a YouTube channel, and I'll look like an idiot. Vlad probably had him yesterday. I don't even know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he's somewhere in DR or something.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't even speak to you if it wasn't the money involved.
If I knew I could have talked to him, I would have traveled to the.
Yeah.
They can buy it. Like they do.
Yeah. Oh man. But because there's tons of questions coming up in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know where the relationship, like as far as, because when you said Tupac was getting these pages where he's in court,
Haitian Jack introduced
Tupac did.
to Rosamond.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then Rosamond tries getting him to do Sean G. Then he shows up at Quad. Then he gets shot. I mean, I think Tupac he blamed everybody. He blamed everybody. At some point or another, Tupac blamed Haitian Jack. He blamed Rosamond. He blamed Biggie. He blamed Puffy. Like, he always thought he blamed everyone at some point. I'm just saying he blamed everyone at one point or another. And I just think he could not get, I don't know what. The thing with Biggie is they're always like, it would be like this. Well, that guy, it's his fault, right? And then he'd be like, well, why'd he do Who Shot You? And it'd be like, yeah, but he did that before you were shot. Well, he should have known. Like, he should have known not to release after. Or maybe he didn't do it, but he's in New York. If someone came to LA, I would know. And it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I think maybe probably the wrong people got in his head, and just, that happens as well.
I also think he was paranoid.
Yeah.
I just think he was paranoid. He'd been shot. He also never thought, he said this multiple times, you probably know this, like, he always thought if he was going to get shot, it was by a white guy in law enforcement. Like, he always did. And I understand that. Like, that's a justifiable way. Yeah. I think he really felt violated by this. Like, I think and disappointed, like, that it was black men who shot him. Like, I think that, like, really punctured something in him, He just didn't see that coming.
There was a black man who killed him, too.
Yep.
So, but, yeah, like, how much do you know in detail? Because there's talks of, or rumors of Big Stretch, knowing this beforehand, the shooting that was going to happen, or supposedly Stretch sold them out in exchange for some drugs. I don't know.
So everyone I talked to was like, kind of vouched for Big Stretch. Mm-hmm. I just don't, honest to God, I'm being serious. The one thing that is so different writing a hip hop book, especially a Tupac book, than like a sports book. Like, even today, I swear to God, I checked my Instagram earlier, and someone's like, you know who killed Tupac? I can tell you who killed Tupac. And it's like, really? You, the guy with 4 followers on Instagram, are going to tell me who killed Tupac? But I get those all the time. All the time. Mm. You know what happened? I'll tell you what happened at Quad. My uncle's brother's sister's nephew worked there, and I can tell you. So, like, I try to report the facts the best I can.
Right.
I thought getting the EMT was really good. I thought getting the other EMTs was really good. I thought getting someone who was in the hospital was really good. Like, I found after Tupac was shot, He goes to a hospital, checks himself out. Goes to another hospital, checks himself out. He's just paranoid. He gets a call, "You ain't dead yet," from someone. He's like, "I'm getting out." He goes to Jasmine Guy's apartment in the city, and he finds a private doctor to come treat him. And she's with him for all these days. And I got her, and she just told me like how paranoid he was. And he slept when he was in Jasmine Guy's apartment with a sawed-off shotgun by his side because he was so nervous about someone coming in and killing him. And nobody even knew he was there at Jasmine Guy's apartment. Probably 10 people total who knew. And he was terrified about someone coming in. It's crazy, man. His life was not just sadness, but paranoia, and understandable paranoia considering what he'd been through.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, so the story is, again, because I wasn't around.
Yeah, all good.
I was a kid.
And I may not have your answers, so I don't want to lie to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets shot the night before he gets sentenced for the.
Correct.
So,
The night before he's found guilty.
Found guilty.
Then, but he isn't sentenced yet. He doesn't get a sentence yet. He's found guilty. Then he goes back in for sentencing. Then they give him 1.5 to 4 years, I think it was. Then he goes to Rikers, and then from Rikers he goes to Clinton. So he's in Rikers Island, then he goes to Clinton.
But as far as like I'm trying to be technical.
Oh.
So is it true? Because supposedly he gets shot the next morning. All he gets treated all for his injuries, everything.
Yeah.
That next morning, he's doing court.
Yeah, and he's wearing the Yankee cap, and he's in the wheelchair. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen this picture? He's in the Yankee cap.
No, because this is amazing. All these things can happen.
Oh.
In such a...
Wait, I'm being serious about this. This is crazy. This is the thing about Tupac. This is the thing about Tupac. The hardest thing about writing about him, and you just kind of nailed it. Most lives are like silly putty that's stretched out, right? Most lives are long.
Right.
And you're writing about things like this. It's gradual. Everything in Tupac's life is like a hamburger that's smashed together. It's like a smashed hamburger.
Yeah.
I mean, he only lived to 25, right? He recorded all these albums in a very short period of time. The time from high school to death is like that with Tupac. So, right, he gets jacked up in Quad Studios while he's on trial for the sexual battery of Ayanna Jackson. He's going through the trial while he's getting the pages from Jimmy Roseman to help do this thing for Lil Sean. He's driving down there knowing he has trial. It's not that different from Kobe Bryant when he was playing basketball while he was on trial for the rape in Eagle, Colorado. Like, it's all this stuff swirling at the same time. He's in the hospital. He has to go to court to be sentenced. He gives this little thing about the judge never looking at him, looking in the eye. You never look me in the eye. Blah blah blah. I don't think justice is served.
Yeah.
He's sentenced, and he's sent to Rikers, and he's in a wheelchair. It's crazy. And he wanted to go. He wanted the people in the court to see him as he was. Like, it was important to him that he go to court.
I just imagine, because here's the thing about me. I cover a lot of court trials and stuff like that. So I've been into the exact court.
Oh, you have? Yeah.
And it's just amazing because the outside, looks the same. I'm pretty sure the inside still looks the same from like 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. It's also interesting because he was convinced he was being done wrong, right? He was convinced he was being done wrong. And he was convinced, I think he was convinced that he didn't rape Ayanna Jackson, right? But he did admit to Kevin Powell that, in a sense, he could have done better. Like, he basically left her with his friends.
Right.
And I wonder, I can't be inside someone's head, right? But like, I'm being serious. You're Tupac Shakur, okay? You're saying you didn't rape this girl, this young woman. But you did leave. Like, it's still kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? It's still kind of fucked up. Even if you say, and you believe, and you didn't rape her, let's just say you did. It's still a little bit fucked up.
I have to play devil's advocate. Hold on.
Do.
Because it's an interview with Tupac. He's saying, he's being asked the same thing. You left her with those people. He's like, no, I didn't leave her with those people. I didn't bring her to those people. They knew each other, Does that make...
Who knew each other? Ayanna Jackson knew them?
And the other guys.
So when you left the room and left her with those people...
I didn't leave her with those people. I didn't bring her to those people.
She came over herself.
Right. She came over, knew those people, knew everything, I just didn't grab her out.
I don't
Does that make
know.
any sense? I can pull up the interview.
No, I believe you. I'm
not
saying...
quoting the exact words.
I just don't know.
Yeah, I'll be chopping it up.
I'll tell you something. because reporting is reporting. And like, when you write a biography of someone, you're not, you have a choice in biography, right? It's really like supposed to be almost like a history book. This is the history of Tupac Shakur. And it's not, I'm not writing it so the fans love me. I'm writing it to write a book about this guy. All right, when I was reporting this book, I was digging and digging and digging and digging. And I was really interested in the Ayanna Jackson situation and the whole sexual assault situation. And I found a police report that a woman filed 4 months before the situation with Ayanna Jackson. There's a 21-year-old woman in Los Angeles who was at a club with a bunch of her friends celebrating her 21st birthday. And she danced with Tupac one time. But she said it was just like cool dancing with Tupac. Like it was kind of a thrill. There's Tupac, I'm dancing with Tupac. Mm-hmm. She's celebrating her birthday. She's 21. Her friends leave. She's like, I'm coming soon. And they left. And she's left alone at this club. This is before you have cell phones, before you have Uber or anything like that. And she's stranded at this club. And Tupac and his friends see this woman and they say, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, I don't know how to get home. And they're like, we can give you a ride. We'll give you a ride. And she said to me, she's like, I never thought Tupac, I thought his fame, like if you're that famous, you're not going to assault someone or do anything. So she gets a ride home and they say, where do you live? And she says, and she's getting dropped off at USC where her boyfriend lives. And she says, Tupac says, well, let's stop at my house first real quick. And she's like, wait, why? And she's like, I got to get something. He's like, I just got to get something. They go to Tupac's house. And she's like, I'll wait in the car. And he's like, no, come in. She's like, no, I'll just wait in the car. He's like, no, just come in. It's okay. I want to show you something. There's a police report I found that was filed by this woman that broke down this entire incident, okay, that she reported to the police, LAPD. He invites her in, and according to this woman, he has her come in his room, and he rapes her. And she filed this police report, and she said he invited his friends in to also have sex with her, and she starts screaming, no, ugh, fine. And they drive her. One of his guys, he says, just take her back to the club. And he's driving her back. And he basically said, if you don't perform a sexual act on me, also, I'm not driving you back. And she's terrified, and she does. She finally gets back to her boyfriend's house. He was a football player at USC. And she's screaming and crying. And he's like, what's wrong? And she's like, I was just raped by Tupac Shakur and his friends. And he's like, what? And she said her boyfriend, again, a USC football player, was going to get a bunch of his USC guys to go beat the shit out of Tupac. She's like, no, let's file a report. She goes right to the police station. She files a report with the police, a sexual assault report. I found the report in detail, line by line. She had her rectum was bleeding. I think she had vaginal bleeding as well. She had all this stuff. She had bruises, etc. The police department decides not to pursue the case, and they spell it out because they said she had a chance to run away and she didn't. Now, okay, I found an unredacted version of the report. So I called the woman who was allegedly raped, and I spoke to her. She didn't want to talk to me at first. She was like, I can't deal with that anymore. And I said, do you want to see the police report? And she said, okay, I'll look at it. And she looked at it, and she actually reached back out to me, and she said, basically, this makes me so angry that I'll talk to you. Because what she saw was the reasoning the police gave for not pursuing it, which is she could have run away and she didn't, which is pretty freaking gross. And she broke it down for me. She doesn't live in California anymore. She's a mom. She's 50-something years old. She had nothing to gain from talking to me. She wasn't doing it for glory. Tupac is long deceased. There's no glory. She's not looking. She didn't use her name. It was not, but I know who she is. And she told me at the end after I talked to her, she broke it down, told me what happened. It matched the police report. Everything matched. I confirmed her story with people. And she said to me at the end, I know people don't believe Ayanna Jackson, but I 100% do. So there you go. And that happened 4 months before the Ayanna Jackson alleged sexual battery.
I'm just gonna say this, because I know this just kind of like blew me away. Tupac and his guys.
Yep.
So, and this is in your book, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, because there's
I can't name the guys, even though I know who the guys are, because they were never charged because the case was thrown at it was never filed.
right.
So I can't like.
You can't even reach out to them if you don't know who
I
they are.
did reach out to them.
And what do they say?
They wouldn't talk, but I did reach out to them.
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
People are gonna watch this
Yeah.
and give me and you. This is lies. Tupac wasn't a rapist. What? Who are you? You just trying to. You just the typical. You're just a white man, cultural vulture. All this type of. The Tupac fan base. I mean, there are good folks out there. I've made friends with them just based on my YouTube channel, but I've gotten the most.
Of course.
Craziest messages because I've made Tupac related content. I've gotten death threats.
I have too.
So yeah,
I have too.
You know where I'm coming from.
I do. And I just want to say, like, I'm being serious about this. First of all, I'm not even saying he raped her. I'm saying this was a charge that was made to the police and that I interviewed the woman 30 years later and that she stood by it with great detail and explained to me what happened. So that's, and like, I'm a journalist, I'm a reporter. I'm not trying to appease Tupac fans. And the truth of the matter is, this doesn't help my book sell. Like if it was, oh, you're just trying to sell book. How does this help my book sell? This makes people angry. But like, as a journalist, you either decide to write a true, all-inclusive, detailed biography of someone's life, the good, the bad, who he was, the highs, the lows, the whatever, or not. And so what are you supposed to do? You asked me about Tupac and sort of the shooting and also the rape, and I'm telling you what I reported. I'm not saying he raped her. I'm not saying he's a rapist. I'm saying there's a woman who gave a very compelling and convincing sort of breakdown of what happened.
What about anybody like what's his name, Tupac's manager? Have you asked anybody like Sexual about this or Tupac's
Well,
manager?
Set I wouldn't ask because Set wasn't even like she wouldn't be involved in it, and also I'm not. I talked to different people. I won't name names, but I swear to God I'm not lying. Like people who are close to Tupac about it, and they were shocked and disappointed in hearing it. Right. So again, I'm not like.
I understand.
I'm not even trying to be. I hate when I hear people and they're like,
yeah.
I'm not saying blah blah blah. I'm just saying like I'm actually saying I reported the facts. I thought it was important. I thought it was important because you had the Ayanna Jackson situation, and 4 months earlier you had in many ways a very identical situation with this Tupac with a woman with his friends nearby. He invites his friends in, and like there is.
Yeah.
You can't say there's not a pattern there of
Right.
at least alleged behavior.
So, based on the other folks that you asked, what do they think? Do you think it happened?
It didn't really. Most sane people, like adults who aren't just like trolls on social media, like how would they know if it happened or not? You know what I mean? Like, how can you possibly know if it happened or not?
Yeah.
The thing I don't like. I mean, I almost regret telling the story here because, like, I know what these become. Like you just said it, I know what it becomes. But like, someone's going to read it in the book, so you might as well. Here it is. It's true. I mean, it's true that she alleged this of him,
Right.
And that she went to the police, and that the police did an examination of her, and something weird happened.
Right.
Like I'm being serious. Like to me, that's like here in this case at least. I'm being serious. I had a police report, so I had a documented record with names. I reached out to the woman who filed the police report, interviewed her, spoke with people who were there. It's different than someone being like 30 years later, oh, this girl looked really young. I mean, for all you know, she was 19, you know what I mean?
Right.
You just don't know. So I to me, like, there's so many rumors. I've never written about someone with more rumors floating around and unsubstantiated rumors and kind of random rumors. So I don't know.
Try to like ask maybe my older friends that are guys, about this, about the whole age gap between men and women. I'm not sure if this was a regular thing. You had Elvis marrying
Priscilla.
At how old was she?
17. Jerry Lee Lewis married his cousin when
like
she was
13
13.
or something. I don't know how true that is.
Not in my world, it's not normal. My wife's older than me, so I don't know.
So I don't know. Maybe back in the day, was the norm. I'm not sure. Like
not to me, it wasn't. I don't know. No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. Like that you're
Not
gonna marry
that
a
young,
teenager?
right?
That's super weird. The weirdest one is a Jerry Lee Lewis. He married his 13-year-old cousin.
Jerry Lee
Lewis, do you know who that is? Do you know the song Great Balls of Fire?
Sounds
You're
familiar.
young.
The name from
You would know the song if you heard it. Jerry Lee Lewis was a famous piano player, singer, and he married his 13-year-old cousin when he was like 20-something. So that's just disgusting.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to get off topic, I wasn't expecting what you just told me earlier.
Yeah.
Moving on. As far as the Ayanna, okay, this is what I wanted to pull up. This is the Vibe interview that's done with, I forget, Kevin Powell.
Mm-hmm.
He's asked, and that's what landed you in jail, but you're saying that you never did anything? Question mark. Never did nothing. Only thing I saw was all three of them in there, and that N-word talking about how fat her ass was. I got up because the N-word sounded sick. I don't know if she's with these N-words or if she's mad at me or for not protecting her. But I know I feel ashamed because I wanted to be accepted, and because I didn't want no harm done to me. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, that's not what you said before. To me, that's more what I said. He's basically saying, like, I don't want to look like a fool. So, like, he's not saying I thought they were friends with him. Like, he's saying he didn't like how it would look for him to be like, he said at one point there was something where he's like, I didn't want him to think she's my girlfriend or my girl or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm being serious about this. Like, I love Tupac.
Yeah.
I love Tupac. Tupac is a really important figure in my life. I just spent 3 years looking at him, researching him. Just being blunt here. Like, you're with this woman. You leave. Your three friends go in. The first thing one of them says is commenting about how her butt is fat.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? Okay, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, who? Really? Like, that's not cool. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
That's just not cool. I'm not saying he sure. That's not really a way of looking out for someone.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, let's take it back let's take it back because there's people that may not be familiar with the situation. From what he met this girl in a nightclub.
Nels. You're too young for Nels, but Nels was a spot.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, he meets her at a nightclub. He's basically goes to Nels. He was there with Haitian Jack, actually. Skipped the line with Haitian Jack. That night, New York Jet safety Ronnie Lott was there. New Jersey Nets forward Derek Coleman was there. Nels was a place that drew like celebrities. Mm-hmm. It's downstairs on the dance floor. I think Haitian Jack pointed it out. Tupac later kind of disparaged her looks. But she seems like a pretty woman. I don't know. But like, he basically goes up to her and he starts dancing with her. I think he put his hands in her pocket at one point, like kind of an old school weird move, but whatever. And she, it's funny, I interviewed the actor Wood Harris, because Wood Harris was in Above the Rim with Tupac.
He was there that night?
He was there that night. And he said, he was talking about seeing her give him a blowjob on the dance floor. And she did give him a blowjob on the dance floor. I mean, all indicators point to that. She gave him a blowjob on the dance floor. Yeah. And they went back to the hotel, his hotel, Parker Meridian. Yeah. They have sex. He called her back another time to come. He had an intermediary call, but she went back again. So like, she was a kid too. I mean, she was really young, and like, but he was too. And they had. I'm sure she thought it was pretty good. Like, it's Tupac. It's a fancy hotel. It's cool. They're sending a car to pick me up. This is great. I'm having sex with Tupac. Seems like a nice guy. The whole thing. But then the whole thing happens where all the guys come in, and she. So the thing that happened that was interesting. I interviewed Easy Mo B. Do you know Easy Mo B? Yeah, the producer. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he ever told this story before. First of all, the weird thing about him, really nice guy. He's from Oakland, but for a long time he lived in my hometown of Mahopac, New York, which is middle of nowhere. It's very random that a hip hop producer from California lived in Mahopac, New York, in Putnam County, where there's literally nothing to do, but he lived there.
I always thought he was from New York. But go ahead.
Yeah, no. And he, okay. That night, Tupac was supposed to perform at a club in New Jersey later that night.
Right.
The night of the alleged rape. He was supposed to go to a club in New Jersey. Earlier that day, Easy Moby and two of his friends were hanging out with Tupac inside their hotel. And that night, they were going to go with him to New Jersey. Okay. They pull up to the Parker Meridian that night to meet Tupac. And they were going to go up again to his hotel room. Well, there was no parking available, and valet parking was $50. And they were debating, the three of them, Easy Moby and his two guys, is it worth parking? It's $50 fucking. That's a lot of money parking. They keep going back and forth. And they finally decide, we're not going to park and go up. It's just too expensive. Let's wait down here. So they're waiting outside the hotel. And Easy Moby told me this. They see Ayanna Jackson come down with a police officer, with the police, because she called from the hotel. She called police to report the alleged. And a couple minutes earlier, I guess an officer had asked them why they were there. And they're like, well, we're waiting for Tupac Shakur. So she comes down and she sees the officer standing next to, Easy Moby sees the police officer standing next to Ayanna Jackson, and the officer pointing to the three of them and asking, kind of reading lips, by asking Ayanna Jackson if any of these men were recognizable. And he said to me, number one, the best decision I ever made in my life was not paying $50 for parking, because I would have been up there then. We would have been up there then.
Getting arrested, yeah.
Or just being in the room when all this is happening, or being in the environment. I'm not saying he would have done anything like that. I'm just saying it was a good. And number two, he was like, what if in that moment she mistaked us for someone? Or if she thought we're involved or whatever. He's like, so I remember her, like, she was like, no, like shook her head, like, no, they weren't involved. But he's like, there are a million different sliding door moments where we could have wound up in a really bad situation. And instead, they didn't. So he actually was outside the Parker Meridian that night with his two friends, not paying $50 to valet park their car.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So
that's why you call everyone when you write a book. That's why you spread a wide net, because people have stories that maybe they've never told and never been asked about.
Right.
That was a pretty good one.
First of all, getting head on a dance floor, that's kind of crazy to me.
That does not happen to journalists, I can tell you that.
Yeah, but I'm trying to picture, like, I don't do too much clubs.
Yeah.
Now this is one thing. This is the '90s. There's no phones in people's hands, so
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody would be getting head.
Also, like,
Yeah.
this, would you really want a blowjob on the dance floor? Like, it's kind of weird, right?
I don't want people watching.
No,
me. Yeah.
no. What are you doing?
Yeah,
No,
that's
I wouldn't want
kinda
that
crazy.
either. No.
Hey man, but sex, drugs, and rock and roll is a lifestyle. A lot of these entertainers.
Yeah, not sports writers.
right.
Coffee, sleep, and TV.
Yeah, but who was Pac's? I guess his road manager. Was it Man or Mouse? What's his
No, it was Charles Fuller.
Yeah, but
Charles
what is
Fuller.
his nickname? I get confused.
It was
Man or Mouse Man?
Man.
Man.
Yeah, Man.
Yeah. So what was his? Did you speak to him, and what was his?
I didn't speak to him. I didn't talk to him, but Tupac apologized to him when he was when he read his final statement in front of the judge, because he felt like he dragged him into this. And even Ayanna Jackson, when asked, said that Charles Fuller didn't do anything.
So I'm guessing. Oh no, you didn't speak to him, so I might as well not even ask you that. I was going to ask you, Man's like. I guess that whole relationship died out after Tupac went to jail.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was watching a documentary, really old documentary. I think it was like an English documentary, and the narrator had mentioned something like that. Was Tupac maybe just afraid of his friends to stop anything? Because from his point of view, he went to sleep in another room,
Yeah.
and then woke up to this woman,
Yeah.
hysterical woman. His take is that he went to sleep. So
I just, again, like, this is just being a human being. I just think, like, this doesn't mean he was guilty of rape, but I do think at the very, very least, he was guilty of poor to terrible judgment.
Yeah.
I just don't think you leave this woman alone with these guys. Like, I just think that's, like, what kind of judgment is that?
Especially if you got a person like Mike Tyson and what was it?
Oh, yeah. You already had this, right, with the, what was her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, right, of course.
But
The
even
same
Mike
thing.
Tyson told Tupac stay away from Haitian Jack.
Sure did. Yeah, he
And
did.
it's like-
Everyone told him. Everyone
He
told him to stay away.
So it's like, why even
I honestly think,
hard-headed motherfucker? You know?
I just think Tupac, like,
hard-headed.
yeah, hard-headed and, like,
He was a flawed human being, man. I could relate. You know?
I think we are.
Yeah, we were
But
super flawed.
I don't disagree with that. He was definitely, he had some amazing attributes to him. He
Yeah,
also
but-
had some really bad non-attributes to him.
Yeah, and there's fans that kind of like, there's these weirdo fans that just think that he walked on water. But actually, you know, he's a regular human being, just put his pants on like a normal person.
You know what's funny? I wrote a book about the Shaq Kobe Lakers. There are a lot of parallels between Kobe Bryant and Tupac Shakur.
How so?
Out in Southern California, where I live, people think Kobe Bryant walked on water. And, you know, after, I know it's really true.
Yeah.
And after, people just fall in love with celebrity. And they forget that these people go to the bathroom too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all go to the bathroom. Tupac went to the bathroom, so did Kobe Bryant. And there were fans who would show up at court when Kobe Bryant was on trial for his rape case. And you'd see the interviews with them. They'd be wearing Kobe jerseys. There's no way Kobe did this. Kobe wouldn't have done this. Like, being serious, same thing about any celebrity. You don't know them. You don't. You may think you do. You may love how Kobe Bryant drives to the hoop against Utah. You may love Tupac's Dear Mama. You may love all of this. You don't know, and I don't know. I write a book. I interview a million people. I do my absolute best. I dig and I dig and I dig. I wasn't in the hotel room, and I wasn't in the room in his apartment with the other woman. I wasn't there. But I think we can all agree, I think you would agree, like his judgment was not always great. I think he was a guy with a huge heart. I think he had an enormous amount of compassion. I think he had limitless talent, not just as a rapper, but as an actor and as a potential civic leader and maybe potential senator. Who the heck knows? Yeah. But his judgment at 25 was like my judgment at 25 and probably your judgment at 25. 25 years old, you don't know what you're doing. You think you do. You think you do at 25. Most 25-year-olds don't really know what they're doing. It's a very young age.
Especially to be experienced that entertainment lifestyle. You have drugs, you have weed, you have women. Like,
think about. All right, I'm being serious about this. I think this is really important. Think about Tupac. Okay, let's actually think about him for a minute. Tupac Shakur comes out of insane levels of poverty. Mm-hmm. Rats scurrying along the baseboards in Baltimore. No heat, no air conditioning. Food sometimes there, food sometimes not there. His mom is a crack addict, okay? He's this kid. He's a fatherless son of a crack addict living in poverty. And that was not that long of a gap between he's there and he's a superstar. It's a very tiny gap. Did anyone ever have a talk with him about sex? No. Did anyone ever have a talk with him about how to manage your money? No. Did he ever have a bank account as a kid? No. He had none of the formulative things that most of society, certainly your average white suburban guy like me, has. You know, like he just didn't. So you thrust him into this. Superstardom, money, women, drugs, all the Hennessy you want. You know, goes to death row. He shows up at death row. They just have everything he could Here's a car. Here's another car. Here's a Jaguar. Oh, you want a Bentley? Here's a Bentley. All being thrown at him. He doesn't know they're leased. He doesn't know they're not his. He didn't have the financial wherewithal. He had good advisors sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yasmin Fulo was an amazing lookout for him. But generally speaking, he was thrust into this all. And when people say like, how did he die so young? It's kind of like, how couldn't he? Yeah. In a lot of ways, how couldn't he? You know? I don't know. Anyway.
No, I understand. I wanted to talk to you about, if you could, because you are a sports writer, about the Kobe.
Yep.
I don't know how much you know about it.
I mean, I wrote a lot about it. Eagle, Colorado. He was, Nas, you know, Nas made reference to it in These Are Our Heroes. He mocked Kobe. It's actually a crazy song if you listen to it. These Are Our Heroes. He makes fun of her for him for having sex with he's like the woman who changes the towels in the hotel. Yeah, I swear. These Are Our Heroes by Nas. It's a crazy Kobe diss track. Right. I mean, Kobe Bryant went to Colorado for knee surgery. Right. This is basketball off season. They flew there. They went to the wrong hotel at first, and they go to the wrong hotel. It was in Eagle, Colorado. They went to the wrong resort, and the resort goes, "Well, you can stay here if you want, Mr. Bryant." And if he had stayed there, none of this would have happened. But he goes to the other resort, and he gets this is all allegedly. This is the woman. I'm not going to say it happened or didn't happen, but he gets a tour from one of the women who works there, and he comes back. She comes back later. She says, "Can you give me show me around?" And according to her, she raped him. And according to him, it was consensual.
He raped her.
He raped her. Excuse me. Yeah, he raped her. And I don't know. Like I wasn't there, but I'm telling you, the thing that I just always think bothers me is how people just assume the famous person is always innocent.
Right.
You know, it's a little weird, like that your fans always. I grew up a huge Hall & Oates fan. Darryl Hall and John Oates, one of my favorite groups of all time. When I was a kid, I was all about Hall & Oates. If Darryl Hall was accused of something, I wouldn't just think he's innocent because I'm a fan of Rich Girl. It doesn't even make sense. You know, it's just kind of weird. You know?
I can relate because I grew up like a very big Michael Jackson fan.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know.
Michael Jackson fans are the biggest. I don't understand Michael Jackson fans.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Donald Trump fans who are like, he would never do, like, really? Like, he cheated on wife 1 with wife 2, wife 2 with wife 3, wife 3 with a porn star he paid off in hush money. But he wouldn't He bragged about grabbing women by the pussies on an audio tape.
Right.
But he wasn't friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, that's hard for you to believe. Like, it's people just live in this land of delusion.
Yeah.
Trump is the greatest example. People live in a land of delusion. They do not want to believe that their heroes would do wrong. And the reality is, we're all human beings and we all fuck up.
Yeah.
Myself and yourself included.
Exactly.
Yep.
I remember it was I think it was a Nori podcast. Yeah, it's a podcast, Drink Champs, and he called Haitian Jack on a FaceTime, and he says he was talking about, you know, obviously the biggest topic would be Tupac, and he said, Haitian Jack said, Tupac fans are like Trump fans. They ain't gonna believe nothing. They ain't gonna think he's gonna think. You know, they're gonna think what they think. You can't change their mind. Something to that effect.
Listen, I always wanted to tell a story. The problem is this. You'll never be able to change Tupac fans' minds on whatever Pac said. It's almost like the Trump fans that still believe he won the presidential race. You feel me?
It's a good analogy.
So something to what you just said. You know,
It's not a bad, I mean, I am a Tupac fan. I'm a huge Tupac fan. I love Tupac. I love his music. I love a lot of what he stood for. But I do think there's a weird sort of thing with...
Some folks, yeah.
But it's just with celebrity. I'm telling you. I wrote a book about a former Chicago Bear named Walter Payton. Walter Payton is an iconic figure in Chicago. You cannot tell the people in Chicago that Walter Payton cheated on his wife or whatever. You can't tell them. Kobe Bryant. You cannot tell Kobe Bryant fans that Kobe was guilty in Eagle, Colorado. They don't want to hear it. And it's weird because it comes with being an icon, and it also comes with young death. If you're an icon and you die young, number one, you're not here to defend your legacy. And number two, people take that for you. They will defend it for you. So like, you can rip Chuck D, right? He's still alive. People are not going to destroy you for saying Chuck D isn't a great MC. I mean, I think he is, but because he's alive, so no one's going to do it. But with with Tupac, with Biggie, with Nipsey, with all these guys, it's very hard to get fans to acknowledge that they were human beings.
Right.
And the thing is, when you write a book, when you write a biography, you're writing about human beings.
Right.
You're not trying to create a myth or destroy a myth. You're just writing about human beings.
Exactly. Because I remember I asked you about the Kobe thing because not that I don't know too much about it. I remember hearing it as a kid, but I was just like, I mean, shit happens. I don't know.
Yeah, it was crazy. The thing about that was crazy. Actually, somewhat similar to Tupac in a way. Like, Kobe was on trial in Eagle, Colorado, and he would fly private plane from trial to the Laker game, back to trial, back to Laker game, and he was playing super well. So he was playing his ass off while going through the most, not knowing if he's going to wind up in prison. Sacramento tonight, score 27, back to Eagle, Colorado. Toronto tonight, score 33, back to Eagle, Colorado. Athletically, it's one of the most amazing things I've ever witnessed.
I'll be scared shitless. I want
to.
I'll be like, yeah.
You guys play without me. It's not that important.
Exactly.
That guy lived in the way Tupac lived and died for hip hop. Kobe Bryant lived and died for basketball.
Right.
I honestly think with Kobe, what I came away from that experience thinking. So Kobe Bryant was he had a very unusual upbringing, and he was never very comfortable with people. He just wasn't. He was an awkward guy. Very, very awkward. Didn't communicate well with teammates. Just didn't know basic. Got married, didn't invite one teammate to his wedding. Just a weird kind of. And he got married in Southern California. Didn't invite one teammate to his wedding. He was kind of a weird guy in that way.
I kind of suspect why.
Yeah, well, he was just like awkward. He was awkward.
Yeah.
Walking away from reporting that book, it was called Three Ring Circus. I always thought it was a guess, educated guess, that she was convinced he raped her, and he didn't think he did. That he thought, oh, she probably just wants it because I'm a hero, I'm a celebrity, and I'm famous, and this is cool.
Right.
And she's like, I don't really want this. I don't really want this. And I honestly, that's my guess, is that it's an educated guess. That's it. I don't know. I was in their heads. That he thought, oh, of course, Kobe Bryant. And she's like, this is going too far. I don't want this. I don't want this. That's spent a lot of time in Eagle, Colorado, reporting that one. Anyway.
Yeah. That whole thing about is just, I wonder what your thoughts are. For women to claim rape or this or that, they were forced into something 20 years later. Because it's kind of like, it's sort of crazy how a woman, hey man, if you end up with in a bad breakup with a girlfriend, and he's like, oh, and she just 20 years later, yeah, this motherfucker, I feel like he raped one time, you know?
I think if someone,
I'm not sure if I'm trying to.
no, I think if someone accuses a man of rape, I'm gonna believe her until I believe otherwise. Like, I don't think the vast majority of women take any joy in accusing someone of having to go to court. Oftentimes, especially with celebrities, having to be exposed in public. Like, there's no glory in accusing Kobe Bryant. There's no glory in accusing Tupac Shakur of, like, you get shamed, you get ridiculed, you get death threats, you're known as this thing, you're known as a sexual object. You think Ayanna Jackson enjoys being known as a woman who gave Tupac a blowjob on the dance floor? There's no glory in that. There's no, like, riches in that. It sucks. Who wants to carry that? I'm not saying he did or not. I'm just saying, who wants to carry that with you? You want to be known? Ayanna Jackson's, 50 years old now. The reason we know her is because she gave Tupac allegedly a blowjob on a dance floor.
Right.
Who the hell wants to be known for that? You know?
Was she open to speak to you about
No,
that?
she did not. Can't get everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't get everyone.
Now, how Haitian Jack gets cleared of the whole thing?
Which I still don't understand.
Yeah, because Tupac wasn't even in the room.
That's the number one reason a lot of people think Haitian Jack was a government informant.
Exactly.
Because he got off. I wish I could tell you with full clarity that he was a government informant. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I'm being honest, I don't know. But I know that led to all these guys being like, what the fuck? Like, how's this possible?
Yeah.
And it was weird. And he was charged separately from the other people. It was weird. It was very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
How long was he sentenced? 4.5 to, how did that?
Who, Tupac?
Tupac, yeah.
It was 1.5 to 4. You may have to look that up. I want to make sure.
How does that even work? I don't know how that
He
makes
thought,
sense.
so it's interesting because, so they interviewed members of the jury later, and basically, all right, there was one woman on the jury who was an older Catholic woman.
Wait, you reached out to the jury of...
Well, I tried. No, I just read transcripts, interviews with different
okay.
jury members. And I tried reaching jury members up. I don't think I interviewed a jury member for this.
That would have been...
I did with Kobe. There's one woman who was basically a holdout. The others did not actually think he was her. There was one woman who was kind of a holdout, and because of that woman, they gave him a sentence. And they all thought, they did interview jury members after, and the members of the jury, most of them thought he was just going to wind up on probation. And Tupac's attorney at the time thought he was going to wind up on probation. And then he got the sentence. And Tupac was dumbfounded because he was really, he was informed by his attorney that he was probably just going to wind up with probation. And then and not only is he sent to prison, he's sent to Clinton.
Right.
Clinton is a place nobody wants to go.
Right.
Nobody wants to go. It sucks.
You been there?
No, but I interviewed a shitload of people from there, COs.
But have you physically been?
No, I didn't go to Clinton. It's the one place I didn't go because I couldn't get a tour. Like, I wanted to go and get a tour. Like, I wanted to go inside, but I couldn't get a tour.
Do they offer those?
No, that's the thing. I couldn't get a tour at Clinton.
Okay.
I tried getting a tour at Clinton. I couldn't get a tour. I would have gone.
Yeah.
I would have gone. So. I interviewed a lot of the people he was friends with in Clinton.
Yeah, let me get. I'll get to that. But before I forget, was he actually found guilty of?
It was sexual battery.
Yeah.
Wasn't it sexual battery?
Something like that to the effect.
It wasn't like it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all. I want to get this one out of the way. The whole thing of Ayanna Jackson, the mixture of Jimmy Henchman and Haitian Jack, the shooting. Do you think somewhere in there, or maybe this is just conspiracy, I don't know, this purposely happened? Was kind of like planned as far as like the thing? Was that some sort? You think that was manufactured, and so to say, or no?
I just don't know. I honestly just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a great answer for you.
Yeah.
That would be one thing you really try hard to do when you write a book, as opposed to everything going on the internet these days, is not to guess.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you just have to say, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I know Ayanna Jackson was not planned. Like, why? You're going to plant yourself to have a bunch of, like, she wasn't, I don't think someone paid her to be there. I just don't. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's my guess. I don't buy it.
No.
But I don't know.
Okay, I interviewed this guy, and I remember asking you years ago on Instagram about this, and hopefully we could finally clear this up. There's this former cop named Bill Courtney, and he made and I got a ton of shit for it, because he made a statement saying, because he investigated or knew it was associated with Haitian Jack. So he said that while Tupac was in jail, Haitian Jack and Jimmy Henchman had Tupac some somehow.
Not only did he get shot, but they had him banged up in jail too. So when Tupac was in jail, he was definitely getting a beat down or whatever from guys. And it wasn't until he went upstate that he had some kind of peace from guys. But are you talking about rape?
Right.
Think about this. If Tupac was raped in jail, wouldn't that make sense about how pissed off he was?
Oh, not true. 100,000,000%. All right. So Wendy Williams, the shock jock back in the day,
Yeah, I heard about
said that over and over and over and over again. Okay. First, I interviewed the warden when he was at Rikers, who is a great source and someone I've known through someone else for like, I know him, his reputation. He's like, he certainly wasn't raped here. I can guarantee you there's a 0% chance he was raped at Rikers. Goes to Clinton. It wouldn't have been possible. That's it. And I interviewed a bunch of guys who served with him. I interviewed a guy who was a corrections officer who actually was the one guy who worked there who wasn't a racist piece of shit. And he became pretty tight with Tupac, right? His name was Michael Christopher. And they all explained like where Tupac was, where he was held. It just wasn't possible. And there were guys who were really close with him, like really close with him, who just emphasized a million times over it was bullshit. Like he was not in prison, period, hard end. And I 100% am certain, I mean, I have to say 99.9% because I wasn't there, that he was not in prison. And I think honestly, Wendy Williams is having health problems now. I'm not wishing to damn her to anything.
Right.
But her behavior with that was shameful. She just took joy and pleasure in spreading this rumor that Tupac Shakur had been in prison.
Yeah, yeah. If there was only a way to like, if the internet was around and we could like hear those like audios, people probably be shocked and stuff. Because a lot of those stuff is not archived on the internet.
Sure. I'm just telling you, I interviewed a lot of people who served time in Clinton with Tupac, and to a man, and they had no reason to protect him. Again, he's been dead for 29 years. Also, it's a more amazing story if he was, and here's what happened, and blah, blah, blah. But like, no, it would have been impossible. He was solitary. He was in a certain cell, in a certain area. He was not.
I have to ask, because I don't want to keep, like, I'm badgering you about the subject.
Yeah.
You say, when you say prison, you say Clinton. What about Rikers?
Oh, I interviewed the warden at Rikers.
Okay.
Yeah. I will tell you, when he was at Rikers, the warden told me that there were some, people were kind of enamored by Tupac. Yeah. And he did have a female guest who in the visiting room gave him a couple of times.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I can see that. If he got it on the dance floor, I can
yeah,
see
exactly.
It made only sense to get it in, in the visiting room in the jail.
But Tupac and Clinton is fascinating. No one ever talks about it. It's his time there, his months there are fascinating. It's one of my favorite parts of the reporting.
How so? Can you give me a piece?
Yeah. First of all, the friends he made, who he was closest with, you would never think. All right, one was a guy who was accused of killing Yusef Hawkins. I don't know if you know this, but he was a black teenager back in the 80s who was shot and killed. And this guy was like the face of like race in New York City. He wound up becoming like Tupac's buddy. Another was this guy Shannon Siegel, who was a kid from Long Island. He was a college baseball player. He goes back to a high school party. There's a black student who's dating his ex-girlfriend who is white. Shannon Siegel is all hopped up on, he's drunk and whatever, and he returns with a baseball bat and beats the shit out of this kid. He's sent to Clinton. So it's two guys who are sent to Clinton, both of whom Al Sharpton held protests and marches against, and they became two of Tupac's best friends in prison. And this one guy, Shannon Siegel, he wound up becoming the first guy in Clinton to get an advanced degree while at Clinton, and he's the one who shared with Tupac for the first time The Prince, the Makaveli book. So when you hear about Makaveli later on, he got, he was inspired by getting The Prince from a guy named Shannon Siegel in prison. And I interviewed one guy and he was like, so basically Tupac would spend a lot of his time writing. He had just piles of notebooks in his cell and he was just writing. When he arrived at death row, he arrived with material. He was writing screenplays. He was writing raps. He was writing poetry. He was getting nonstop letters from women, nonstop. And you could have visitors at Clinton. And his cousins, Billy Lassane, Kenny Lassane, and also his stepbrother, Mopreem, set up shop kind of nearby. And Tupac would arrange for the women to come visit him at Clinton. Now, you couldn't have sex with anyone in prison, but you could at Clinton. But you could, whatever, make out. And he had multiple women he would get it. He got so many letters at Clinton, like mounds of letters from women, from men, panties, bras, you know, and he would like, I saw a lot of the letters he wrote to women from Clinton.
Yeah.
And they were like, first of all, they were beautiful. He was a beautiful writer, but they were like horny, like it'd be like, and he was engaged at this time, by the way, to Keisha. He goes, he'd write these letters like, Angela, I received your most recent letter and the photo. Girl, I can sense your skin rubbing against mine at night, and there's nothing I want more than the texture of your touch. And like he would write these letters, and he would have his cousins arrange them to visit, and they would fly to Montreal or wherever the closest airport may have been, Vermont, and drive them to Clinton. And these women would come and visit Tupac and visit Tupac and visit Tupac. And I interviewed a lot of the women, and they were like, one of them was underwhelmed. There was this woman, Angela, who was like, he was kind of short and his hair was grown in and he wasn't quite what I thought he would be. This other woman, Simi, I interviewed, she came from LA. She worked in a clothing shop in LA. She, yeah, he was short. He was short. He's probably 5'8", you know, he wasn't a big guy. Yeah. This other woman, Simi, flew in from LA, and she's like, he had the most sparkling eyes. And she told me Tupac was like, I want to have a baby with you. And she's like, I'd rather have 2 babies. And he's like, you're right. We should have 2 babies. That would even be better. So like, and he used to, the thing Billy was saying, his cousin told me is he said, the line that I love, he'd tell him to bring the women and he'd be like, don't fumble my hose. That was his line. Don't fumble. Actually, one of my chapters is called blah, blah, something, AKA don't fumble my hose. It's one of my favorite. I wish I could get a shirt that just says don't fumble my hose. I guess I can.
That's funny.
I guess I can. We'll get one. We'll get matching don't fumble my hose t-shirts. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just do me a favor though. Don't fumble my hose. Okay?
I got you.
Okay.
I got you. I was gonna say.
And he was miserable there. It sucked.
Yeah.
It's cold. It's bleak. It's gray. The food sucks. But like, he wasn't in danger there. Like there were certain women. Like there were a couple of women CEOs who hated him. Like just made his life kind of hard. They make fun of him. You know, names, stuff like that. But mostly he was okay.
Right. Yeah, man. Just thinking about how many hoes got fumbled, you know?
You know, as a journalist, I can tell you, I fumble hose all the time. It's just a lot of hose I fumble. And then, you know, Suge Knight bails him out. You know? And yeah.
There's this thing about, there was always some rumor, I think somebody exaggerated it, that they signed a contract on toilet paper.
It's a rumor. But it wasn't a formal it's really interesting, actually. The day Suge Knight, if there's a Darth Vader in my book, it's probably Suge Knight. You know, I know you've heard all the stories about Suge Knight. Yeah. And while Tupac's in prison, Suge Knight is sending gifts to his mom, to different people in his life, money.
So it seems like he's already like
he's recruiting.
Yeah,
he's recruiting, and he's trying to woo him. And some of it Tupac's aware of, some of it is not. He sends Tupac money, sent him $15,000 in prison. And he's wooing him. Meanwhile, Atron Gregory, who's a Digital Underground manager who worked with Tupac, is trying to, it was a $1.6 million bail. It was reduced from 3 to 1.6, trying to get this money. Well, one day, Suge Knight goes up on the same day that Tupac's manager, Watani, goes up. And Watani is waiting to meet with Tupac to talk about the process of getting him out. And they're very close to getting him out. And Watani's waiting, but one of his guys, they had an attorney named Charles Ogletree, and he's not there yet. And Suge Knight is there. And I don't even know if Watani knew who Suge Knight is, but Suge Knight was waiting to see Tupac too. He goes, why don't you go in? I'm still waiting. So Suge Knight goes in, meets with Tupac, comes out skippity-doo, because comes out happy as could be because Tupac has signed what they had. And, you know, he bailed him out. Everything, all the money from Suge was advanced earning money. It wasn't like he was giving any gifts here at this point. Like all the money from Suge, the cars Tupac owned, the bail, hotels, alcohol, it was all coming out of Tupac's future earnings. So like, it wasn't like Santa Claus.
So what does that tell you for people who don't know the music industry? What is that?
It's gross. I mean, the music industry is gross. Yeah. Suge Knight ran it like the mafia. Death Row was a mafia. I interviewed someone who worked for Death Row, and he said he was hired by Suge, and Suge Knight gives him the job, walks him over to a window in Death Row, and says, "Look," he goes, "Look out the window," and he goes, "At Death Row, we don't fire people if they don't perform. We throw them out windows." You know, yeah. And there was a lot of bluster. You know, there was a lot of bluster, but they did some messed up shit at Death Row.
Yeah. because supposedly while he was in jail, they didn't necessarily need Suge, or Pac didn't need Suge. Supposedly Tupac just didn't have the patience for like Watani to come up with the money.
Correct. Tupac had no patience for anything.
Yeah.
Tupac, when he was in Oakland, was waiting for Digital. He wanted toward Digital Underground, waiting for Digital Underground. Layla Steinberg, who worked with him at the time, kept calling Atron Gregory and saying, this kid, he doesn't have patience. He's really talented. We're working on it. Tupac literally moves to Georgia to be a political leader. Finally, Atron Gregory, they offer him a job as kind of a roadie, but not really a roadie. Like he had no patience to speak of. He never had patience. He was always in a rush. Tupac believed from a very young age that he would die a young man.
So it seems like, okay, would you say that Suge in a way misled Tupac, because you're saying that?
I don't think he misled him. I think I've always compared Suge to Donald Trump and Don King, guys who take advantage of you, lead you along, make you think everything's great. Don King used to do this thing. Do you know Don King, the boxing promoter?
Of course.
Okay. He used to do this thing where he would owe like a boxer $1 million. He'd owe you $1 million. I swear to God, there's a true story about Don King. Don King used to bring the boxer to his house or office, and he'd open a drawer, and it'd be filled with $100 bills. And he would say, I can try to get you the $1 million down the road, or I'm going to let you stick 2 hands into this drawer and walk away with as many bills as you can. And almost universally, the boxer would do the thing and walk away with at most $1,200, right? It was an old trick. Trump did the same thing with plenty of people. And Suge was that guy too. Like, again, there was a moment, I'll tell you a great moment. This is one of my favorite Tupac stories with Suge. Tupac is filming the movie Gang Related with Jim Belushi and Layla Rochon. He was great in that movie. And they're filming in LA, and one day Suge Knight shows up on set, and he's driving a new car for Tupac. He brings a new car for Tupac. And he makes this big production of it. Yo, in front of everyone, yo, Pac, you've really been doing it for us. I just want to express my gratitude for you. And hands him the keys to some fancy new car, right? Jaguar, Benz, I don't even know.
With money that's supposed to be going for.
Wait.
Okay.
He just gives him the car. He just gives him the car. Tupac's like, yo, thanks, that's awesome, blah, blah. Suge drives away. Tupac turns to a woman on the gang-related set and goes, I don't own this. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't own anything. Like, I don't own the cars. I don't own the apartment. It's all leased. I don't own any of it. And this was a point when he was really, his eyes were opening to it all. Like, all this stuff that was presented early on as gifts for Tupac, gifts for your genius, you're out of prison, oh my God, we're so happy, was all built to him. He wasn't like the flight from Clinton, cross-country flight. Oh, sorry. The flight to Clinton, my dog is being walked, just so you know. The flight to Clinton, out of his bill. Food, out of his bill. Future earnings, future studio time, future earnings. Like, it wasn't gifts for Tupac. It was all being taken out. And like, there was a moment later on, he brought out Yasmin Fula to handle his money and his finances, which was one of the smartest things he ever did. And she was the one who really, she said to me, Suge was just a snake, like so many other snakes I've dealt with. You know, just like kind of a huckster. And like, yes, All Eyes on Me, Makaveli are great albums. Suge Knight did not skimp on having great producers, great artists. You need a feature from Rappin' Forte, let's do it. You need a feature from so-and-so, let's do it. He was great. Johnny J, let's bring him in. But everything, he was not making these people rich. You know, he was making himself rich off of this image of Death Row and, you know, Mob Piru and all that. But he wasn't making his artists rich. And Tupac died with less than $200,000.
So with that being said, because it depends like who you talk to.
Yeah.
With that being said, was Tupac going to leave Death Row?
Yes, but the weird thing is he did record, like he recorded tracks for him the day before he died. You know, he was recorded some tracks for Death Row. So he wanted to, he was planning on it. He was talking to Yasmin about it. You know, wanted to start his own label, wanted this. But the thing I'll say about Tupac, and it sounds like a cop-out, but I actually really think it's not, like, he was 25 and he was a guy who had plans, big plans, lots of plans. I want to do this. One day I'm going to do this. I'm like, I was that way too when I was 25. I'm going to do this and I want to do that. It'd be great if we could do this and we should do this. But it takes more than speaking an idea to make the idea become a reality. Right. So yes, of course, he had a 3-album deal with Death Row. And they were covered by the double album, That's All Eyes on Me, and Makaveli. So like, what was he going to do next? I think he wanted to leave. He made it pretty clear to people around him he wanted to leave. Would he have mustered it up? I don't know.
Yeah, because depending who you talk to, it's like you'll get this.
Yeah. That's with Tupac with everything.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what makes it hard to write a book about Tupac. Because everyone's like, and now you have people getting paid left and right to talk about Tupac and you're like, who can I believe anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
So you just do your best.
Yeah, because supposedly, because you know how Dr. Dre and Eminem have Aftermath, Slim, yeah, and G Unit. Now it would have been something like that, Death Row Makaveli Records, or
I think Tupac would have been an amazing, amazing actor. In fact, I think he was an amazing actor. And Jim Belushi said to me, he's like, that guy was 2 movies away from being an Academy Award winner. Like he was that good. And when you watch him in those movies, I don't think he was ever in a great movie. Like Juice was an important movie. I wouldn't say it was a great movie, but Tupac always carries the movie.
Yeah.
Even when he's with Tim Roth, even when he's with Jim Belushi, Janet Jackson, whoever, you can't take your eyes off Tupac. I think he would have been a great actor.
Right. One thing that you know what? Because we were talking about the AI videos that pop up on social media of Tupac, and what kind of like touches my heart when I see the AI of Tupac and Biggie and seeing what we could have like had.
Yeah.
And it's just like
it sucks.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Throughout your research, do you ever get the answer of why these guys just couldn't get on the phone together and just hash it out or work it
Biggie
out?
wanted to. Biggie tried visiting him twice. I think Biggie was genuinely, I'm not saying Biggie was a saint by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
I think he was genuinely confused by this all and bewildered and like, what? Like, I was not involved with this. What are you doing? Also, like, I think their friendship was over with time, has been a little bit exaggerated. Like, they weren't like bosom buddies hanging out together all the time. Biggie slept on his couch. They performed at Madison Square Garden.
Which is crazy to think about now.
Yeah, oh yeah, crazy. It's funny. The funny thing about it is like Positive K, the rapper Positive K, who had the song I Got a Man, was on that billing. And Positive K was higher on the billing than Tupac and Biggie. Like, they were not at that point.
I never even heard of Positive K.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I Got a Man's a pretty good song. But the point is, they were not like the stars yet that they became. They were up and comers. And I think they felt a kinship over. And at one point, Biggie asked Tupac if he could consider managing him. And Tupac actually said you should stay with Puff. So,
exactly.
Which is probably wise. I mean, I think at that point, Puff wasn't the gross creature we see before us now.
Yeah. Speaking about Puff, what do you think about what he's gone through?
I think he's a gross creature. I find someone who has something good to say about him. Mm-hmm. Talk to people from Danny King. They have anything good to say about him? Like, nobody. He's a gross, sad. I'm telling you just see it over and over again in celebrity and entertainment where people get so caught up with their own power that they lose who they are. I just think that guy is gross.
What do you think about Keefe D? And he has an upcoming trial, I believe, next year around March, January?
I think Keefe D is the dumbest person in the history of hip-hop. I do. I think he's the dumbest human being in the history of hip-hop, maybe entertainment. You know what? I'm just going to brag about how I killed someone. Like, I'm just going to do that because I'm sure the statute is over. I think he's a moron. I think he's a moron. I actually think Keefe D is a moron of the greatest degree.
Yeah.
Someone asked me the other day, do I think that'll change? Does it close the book on Tupac's murder?
Does it?
No.
How so?
Because we're all a bunch of conspiracy theory lovers, and we all gravitate toward to me, I know people disagree with me. I know it's not sexy. Tupac is in the MGM Grand. The Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight has ended. He's with Baby Lane. No, excuse me. He's with Trayvon Lane. I keep getting, because it's funny, because Baby Lane was Orlando Anderson's nickname.
Yeah.
He's with Trayvon Lane.
Yeah.
He's with Trayvon Lane. Trayvon Lane had recently been robbed at the Foot Locker in the mall.
Yeah,
there was a bunch of Compton Crips. One of them was Orlando Anderson, ripped his chain off in the mall. He says to Tupac, that's a guy. He's like, which guy? Right there, that guy. Tupac had no filter, no hesitancy, runs up, punches him. All the death row guys stomp him out. Later on, Tupac and Suge go to 662, club in Vegas. Then they're driving around. Orlando Anderson with Keefe D, 2 other guys are looking, just driving around looking. There he is. There's Tupac right there, hanging out the car. Pull up, shoot him. I interviewed a close friend of Orlando Anderson who grew up with him and was friends with him until when he died. And he said to me, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, there's no way Orlando Anderson could come back to Compton having been publicly stomped out by a rapper. Like, by a rapper. Tupac was a rapper. Like, I'm not saying he wasn't tough. I'm not saying he wasn't.
Yeah.
But he was a rapper. And like, the idea that you just returned to Compton with that level of humiliation, that it wasn't Suge Knight who stomped you, and it wasn't one of the death row guys affiliated with the Bloods. It was a rapper. Like, what was he supposed to do? And I'm a guy from upstate suburban New York. It's not like I have any gang affiliation or gang experience, but that does speak to me. And you're Orlando Anderson, and there's a guy who just beat the shit out of you, and he's one car over. I'm pulling up right next to him. I just don't buy the whole it was all arranged, because you're going to arrange for Orlando Anderson to be there at the exact time Tupac's there. Tupac's going to see him. You know Tupac's going to run over, beat him up, then leave, then drive around. Like, is Puffy some kind of like, genius who can prearrange the future? I just don't buy it.
I have to ask you about that. So I'm sure you spoke to Greg Kading.
Yeah. I love Greg Kading.
Yeah.
Greg Kading's a good guy.
He's a friend of the show.
Yeah. Greg is a good guy.
Yeah. So according to his confession with Keefe, Keefe has said that, it was sort of like this perfect mixture at a perfect time where, hey, Puffy offered to Keefe, hey, I need give you $1 million for both of these guys. So it's not like Keefe went out and his team went out, looking for Suge Knight or,
And then he just appears and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, basically comes to find out.
It's certainly possible. Thing is, I had a lot of people tell me that you wouldn't at least get some of the money before you do that. Like, he's like, I'll pay you $1 million. All right, well, show me 500,000 before I'm going to like actually kill someone. And like different guys said to me, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, you wouldn't just take the word, I can pay you $1 million. You're at least going to have him give you some part of it before you do something like that could literally put you in prison for life.
Right.
So I don't know. But Greg Kading he has studied this well. He's a very smart man. Who's to say?
Right. Well, what else? So what do you think of like the other books that came before, and like Frank Alexander, The Bodyguard, and,
I read Frank Alexander's book.
What do you think?
Well, I want to say, first of all, like, Frank Alexander has passed.
I know.
And I don't like shitting on the dead, but a lot of people who know Tupac well say this is not really a book you can trust.
No.
So I read it. I thought it was an interesting book, but I don't know. I don't know. There's just so much conflicting information from so many different sources. The best Tupac books out there, there's a great book called The Tupac Encyclopedia by a guy named Michael Namikis. It is the best, Namikis. It's the best Tupac book out there. It's awesome. He self-published it. Super thick. It's amazing. Amazing. And another great Tupac book, I swear to God, is Jasmine Guy's book about Tupac's mom. It's a great, great book. So, about Afeni Shakur. It's really good. There are some great books out there.
Yeah, well, can you tell me about Gaddafi? Because people try to connect his murder to the Tupac thing.
I don't, I'm friends with his mom. I became pretty good friends with his mom.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Yaki? Yaki, yeah.
Yaki Gaddafi.
Yeah, right. I didn't hear you. I didn't look into the murder, so I have nothing good for you, just to be honest. Like, I was so focused on Tupac that I kind of didn't. But she wrote she has two really good books. Her one book, Son of an Outlaw, I forgot what book, but she wrote a book that's really good.
Really?
Yasmin, to me, there are a couple of go-to people at Tupac, and she's one of them. She's one of the best. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about folks that blame Reggie Wright? Is this sort of like a popular theory?
Because everyone blames someone.
Yeah.
It's possible. I honestly don't know. I can't sit here and tell you that Reggie Wright is uninvolved, or I can't tell you Frank Alexander. Why didn't he have the vest, right? Why didn't he have the vest? Why this? Why that? It's just a whole shit show of craziness. And in a lot of ways, it's a reason the book, in some ways, the least interesting thing to me was Las Vegas, even though it's fascinating, because it's just so hard in all the bullshit to fully understand who's lying and who's not.
Did you ever speak to Trayvon Lane?
No. Wait, is Trayvon Lane even alive? I don't even remember anymore. Is he still
Yeah, the guy who was...
No, I went to his house. I went to Trayvon Lane's house, knocked on the door, wasn't there, left a note, never heard from him. I sure did. I did. Yeah. I was all over Compton leaving notes. I swear to God.
How is Compton nowadays?
Compton's nice.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying like...
You would buy a house.
No, actually, Compton has some like really nice houses. Yeah. You go there during the day, it's nice. I'm just saying, not knowing Compton that well, I'm not sure I'd walk around at night by myself. That might not be the best idea, but I'd rather go to Compton than go to some like county in Georgia where we have a bunch of MAGA voters who have guns and anyone who knocks on the door is threatening. Like, I'm being serious about that. I would take Compton 1,000,000 times over.
What about the woman, his girlfriend at the time? What was her name?
Oh, Kadada.
Kudada.
Oh, well, are you talking about Kadada or are you talking about
Kadada.
Keisha?
Kudada.
Oh, didn't get her. Tried. However, a reporter from Time Magazine named Christopher John Farley, who's a good friend of mine, he's like, I have an interview she did after he was killed. I'm taped. Would you want to use it? And he gave it to me. So that was good. And she was very interesting. But I didn't get to talk to her personally.
Real quick, what was the
It was just about her mental state, what Tupac was doing.
and how did she sound?
Sounded traumatized. I mean, her guy just died. She found it horrified and heartbroken. So, yeah, not good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know if they were married? Or I'm not married. I'm sorry, engaged.
Yeah, they were engaged. He proposed to her in Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he proposed to her in Italy. When they were there, he was there for a bunch of fashion shows, and she came too. Yeah, they were engaged. Wow. That was well known, though. You're not going to break anything with that.
Yeah, because there was,
Oh, no, they were engaged.
conflicting reports. Last question then. What do you want people to take away from your book when they read it?
I think I want them to understand the fullness of his life. And this isn't just the guy from Thug Life. This isn't just the guy from I Get Around. This isn't the death row guy. Someone he went to high school with described him to me in a way that I've always loved. She said, Tupac was the kind of guy who would gently remove a ladybug from his hand and place it on a leaf. And I really think at his best, he was a kid listening to Kate Bush, and Donna Summer, and Don McLean, who loved being artistic and was artistic and had this deep, rich empathy provided by being the son of a Black Panther and also just being exposed to the world. And I think if he hadn't gotten involved with death row and a lot of things that happened, I think he could have been I think he is one of the truly impactful social figures of my lifetime. I think he could have been a guy who, even though he thought he was going to die around 20, could have lived a long and really, really important life. And it wouldn't have shocked me to have Tupac Shakur 2025 winning his 3rd Academy Award, or Tupac Shakur 2025 being California Senator, or Tupac Shakur still making beautiful music. I just think he had so much potential to do a lot of great things, and I hope people see that.
Oh, there it is, man. I really like that message.
Yeah,
I think it's
sad. His life is sad. It's friggin' sucks. People talk about him like he's still alive, and I think the harsh reality that's important to remember is he's not. He died, and it sucks, and it's not cool, and his death isn't cool. And that's why I hate these AI videos so much. That's not him. You don't know what he would be saying. His sister has to watch that and see that. That's not cool. So I don't love it.
Well, there it is. Jeff Pearlman. Thank you.
Thank you.